Good Thursday morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Weather's been decent this week. A lot of rain, but at least it's been warm. Hope you're staying safe. Hope you're staying somewhat sane. And hopefully we'll be able to, get out and do a little bit more than we have been doing lately. So yesterday you created an algorithm. And what you're going to do today is you're going to create a flowchart based on that algorithm. So what is a flowchart? It's basically just a diagram representing a set of instructions. Flowcharts use standard symbols to represent different types of instructions, and we go into that more on the next slide. The symbols are used to construct a flowchart and show a step-by-step solution to whatever the problem is or whatever the process is. And this is important, follow the arrows. So here we're going to start, we come down to here, do something here, do something here, do something here. Looks like this one, it's a different shape, and you'll see that on the next slide that a diamond represents something than a rectangle. This diamond looks like it requires a yes or no response. So if no, it sends you back over here. If yes, you can continue on until we get to the stop. So let's look at what those symbols represent. So at the top we have the start and the stop, the beginning and end points of the sequence. A rectangle is a process. It's an instruction or command. It's you doing something. A triangle is a decision, which we saw in this example here. This required a yes or no response. So a decision, either yes or no. Input or output is this, what is that, a parallelogram? I'm going to go with parallelogram. Input received by computer, or output that is given out by computer. So input that the user enters into a computer, and then also output that the computer gives back to the user. Connector, this one I don't use. I rarely see it used, so I'm just going to not even worry about it. But the direction of flow, this is very important. Connects to symbols, so you know which way the flow is going. So here's one example of a flowchart. Flowcharts can be used to plan out programs. Planning a program that asks people what the best subject they take is would look like this. So we have the start. The input is what is the best subject. If the answer does the answer equal computer science? If no, the output says try again. Like here, if it's yes, then of course it is and stop. So a little bit of a self-serving computer science flowchart here. As you can see, we have the start and the stop, which are those ovals. We have the parallelograms, which is the input and the output between the user and the computer. I would argue that you could also, this would also be an output, because the computer would output this question, and then I would put another input here, which is what the answer would be, and then go to this. Does the answer equal computer science? So you could do it that way as well. So what you're going to do is, with that algorithm you created yesterday, you're going to create a flowchart. And this is the example that I gave yesterday for the algorithm, where you're calling your friend on a landline. You're going to see we don't have to worry about any assumptions for this. We're just going to go through the steps. Also, the flowchart won't necessarily include the input or the output, just the steps of the process. So we have the start, then we have pick up the phone and listen for the dial tone, again follow the arrows, dial the phone number. Now here it says if busy, hang up phone, wait 5 minutes, jump to step 1. Okay, so here we have a decision to make. Is it busy? Yes. If it is busy, then the arrow comes here, hang up, wait 5 minutes, and go back to this step. If it's not busy, we come down here, which is our next question. If no one answers, leave a message and jump to step 7. So, did your friend answer? No, they did not. Is there an answering machine? No, there is not. Hang up, wait 2 hours, and you're back here. Or, did your friend answer? No. Is there an answering machine? Yes. Leave a message, hang up the phone, stop. And then the final flow that could happen here is if your friend did answer, you're going to talk to your friend, you're going to hang up the phone, and stop. So this involves 3 different of those shapes. We have the start and the stop, which are the ovals. We have the rectangles, which is the process, instruction or command. And then we have the decision. which would be a yes or no question. There weren't any inputs or outputs here, so you're not going to necessarily use all of these symbols. And as you can see, I didn't use a connector dot. I suppose I could have done it here to connect this arrow with this arrow, but like I said, I've rarely seen that used in flowcharts, so I'm not too concerned about that. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to take your flowchart, you're going to take the steps that you did, and you're going to create the flowchart here. Now I did this and I matched the colors with the colors on this chart. You don't have to do that. I did that just to make it look pretty. So here is the assignment. Using the algorithm you created in exercise 2 and using the symbols found on slide 14, you will create a simple flowchart. Now the way you could do it is a few ways. You could hand draw it, which is fine. You can create it digitally using Google Slides or draw.io. Now I did this one in Google Slides. It wasn't hard. In fact, it was very easy because you have shapes up here that you can use. You have the arrow here that you can use. Or you just go to the insert for shapes and lines and arrows and stuff like that. So it was easy. The hardest part really was just making sure I had enough room for this flow. I don't want to say most, a lot of flow charts go vertically like this from top to bottom. Yours doesn't have to. It can go from left to right. It can, as long as I see the flow, and again, very important, the arrows show the flow. If these were just connected with lines, I'd have no idea what's going on. I'd have no idea where the flow is going. Okay, so you can use it, hand draw, use Google Slides, draw.io, and I'm giving you this option. You don't have to use it. But if you want to challenge yourself a little bit, this is a really neat program to use. I use it in my other classes as well. You might get a different screen where it's asking you to log in using your Google account, and that's fine. But since I have that already, it just goes to this screen for me. Create a new diagram. So if you're ever looking to do any types of charts, layouts, maps, there's a lot of different things you could do with this program. You go to flowchart, create. Here it has a dummy one already done for you. You're basically just drag and dropping shapes here and connecting them with lines. You have lines here. You can have colors here, text box here. It's pretty simple. I'm not going to go into showing you a tutorial now. I've included one here. If you want to use the draw.io option, there's also a tutorial here showing how Google Slides can do it. I think you could also do it using a Google Doc. It doesn't matter, however you want to do it. What is important though is that you use the proper symbols found on slide 14. Color coding is not necessary. You don't have to color them. You can if you want, but you don't have to. But here you must include the arrows showing the direction of the flow. Don't just have the symbols. Don't just have lines connecting the symbols, but you must have the arrows connecting it. Also, and I'm going to type this in now, and you must have text. So you must have text in these symbols here, so I know exactly what the symbols represent. You can't just have the symbols, but you can have the symbols with text in them connected by arrows. So if you're using draw.io, here is my big concern, because this is the biggest thing that students mess up on. You must export as. Do not use save as. And what I mean by that is if this was done, I don't go file save as, because what it'll do is export a .io file, which I can't open unless I'm in draw.io. You must export it as an image file. You can choose PNG or JPEG, doesn't matter. You can export it as a PDF, doesn't matter. But as long as you're exporting it as either an image file or PDF, those are the three I would recommend. Don't do any of the other ones, because I won't be able to easily open them up when you submit them in Unified Classroom. So that's my big warning if you use draw.io. Must use export as JPEG or PNG. Again, you could also do PDF if you want. Do not use save as. If you're hand drawing the flowchart, which obviously would be the easiest option, here's the thing. Make sure the photo you take is clear and it fills the frame. So I don't have to zoom in. I can see the image that you're taking fills the frame and is in focus. and easy to read. And you're going to submit that, the hand-drawn file, the image file, the Google Slide. If you want to try Google Docs, whatever, it doesn't matter. In Unified Classroom, and it is due by the end of the day, Thursday. Again, we have a Google Slides tutorial if you want to use Google Slides, Draw.io. Again, if you want to challenge yourself and do something. Again, this is a neat program, not just for flowcharts, but there's a lot of different things you could do with this as well. So that's it. Again, the key takeaways are you're using your algorithm from yesterday's assignment. You have to create a flowchart that has the proper symbols that you're finding here. You have to have text in the symbols to tell me what it represents. And so I can follow along with your list. It's probably going to be easier for you to do what I did here, was just copy and paste your steps from your algorithm and then build your flowchart based on those steps. So it's easy to refer to it and then just submit it all together. Again, any questions, please let me know, and I'll talk to you soon.